Hello, welcome to the One I Have Spare Time podcast. My name is Frank, and I'll be sitting here talking to you for a few minutes. The camera's not on me, so who knows? Anyway, Yena went quote unquote viral for her water bomb outfit, and I was reading the comments, and there were a lot of comments going, "Look, she went to water bomb, and she went viral, and she didn't show any skin," and they're praising her. And no one makes these girls or the guys that do water bomb to wear something they don't want. It's not like they put a gun to their head and they're like, you have to wear. Well, and they don't wear straight out bikinis. Like some of the girls will wear a bikini, but they'll wear like a shirt and jeans over it, kind of like what Billy did. But anyway, the point is with Yena, as you see, Yena is extremely skinny. Okay, extremely skinny, meaning she doesn't have a body really. She is um like what happens when you, especially with women, like when they diet, uh a lot of the weight is lost from the areas that men like. So like, the butt gets skinny, like look at her compared to her backup dancers. The backup dancers, like the backup dancers are skinny and in great shape, right? But compared to Yena, they're like, wow, they're big, but they're not. Yena is just really, really small, because what is the difference between Yena and the backup dancers? Yena is an idol, which means she eats probably once a day, and it's probably one of those crazy diets where it's like just enough food that could fit in like one cup or something like that. Anyway, so she eats like, but she eats the way you're supposed to eat. Like, you're not supposed to eat 20 times a day. So but she probably eats once a day, and then she exercises, and then practices her dancing. Anyway, so she is probably losing weight every day. So all the weight that should be going to her breast and her ass and her thighs, just the parts that guys like, is just gone. Okay, so you're basically dealing with a stick. So if Yena wore the same outfit that these backup dancers would wear, she would look horrible. The backup dancers would be like, wow, the backup dancers are pretty hot, because they actually have a somewhat of a female body. So Yena did the smart thing. She wore a bodysuit, a diva inspired bodysuit, and the reason why that is a smart thing to do. Most of us live on the internet, so when you see, and also diva is popular in Korea, because diva is a South Korean character from Overwatch. So anyway, but uh, so when people think of diva, what are people gonna think of? Well, first you're gonna think of Overwatch, but then when people think of Overwatch, most men are gonna think of Overwatch porn, because Overwatch didn't get popular until, for some reason, there was just this uptick of people making Overwatch porn. Like, they would take the 3D models and like have them do porn, and so to this day, it's still going on. And like every time Overwatch puts out a new female character, the next day there's like six porns about it. But anyway, so so she's supplementing her lack of, let's be honest, female curves. She's supplementing that with the subliminal message of diva, because if you're a guy and you play Overwatch and know diva, you're gonna think about that. And also because of our OnlyFans culture, our these women who want attention culture. The bodysuit is one of the most common outfits these e-thoughts, e-girls, e-whores, attention whores, OnlyFans girls, Instagram models wear to get attention, because, or like Twitch girls too, because it doesn't violate the terms of service. They are fully covered. They're wearing a bodysuit. They're fully covered, except it shows off all their curves, and they do like sexy things in it. And then there's a lot of Overwatch and like live action porn where the girls dress like this. or in different superhero outfits. So you are once again supplementing your lack of curves with what men are going to associate this with. So this is why it went viral, because what the normies don't realize is that this is the sexiest outfit she could have worn. Like, this is by far the because, you know, she has a pirate's chest, a carpenter's board, meaning it's flat. Like a pirate's chest is hidden. A carpenter's board is flat. Okay, so like she doesn't. But here's the thing: being skinny is very attractive. But I'm just saying, like, if she gained 20 pounds, and that weight would go in the right place. But anyway, so that was the smart thing to do. So I do commend her, and people were saying that this was her idea. So I will say this is very smart of her, and it did go viral considering what went viral the year before. So like you see her now, right? So and then you have the one that went viral. It might have been 2 years before. I don't know. So look at her, the difference between her body. Now this is rare because this is a K-pop idol who does, diet and all that crap. But for some miracle, she kept her female shape. So, she still has like, D cups. So, but like this is went viral. This might have been 2 years ago, but like this is still going viral. Okay. But like she can't, like Yena can't compete because Yena's body looks like a little boy compared to like a woman. And it's just, it's obviously everyone's body is different, but I'm just saying she did the smart thing is because if Yena tried to dress like this, she'd be laughed at. Okay, so this is someone who's definitely using 100% of her brain. So good for her. Okay, and then like as you can see, other idols, because like currently, if you go on the internet and like look at the discourse or look at Reddit, the girls that are popular for their body, which is just gonna show you like the difference is, can't say like we see Yena like she was all skinny. Okay, so Yell is still going viral because at least she has an ass. Okay, I've seen like Reddit groups dedicated to her body, thousands of YouTube videos. I mean thousands. I mean I haven't looked at them all, but it's just thousands of she's hot. Okay, and like even her body is better than Yena's body. Okay, and and you're like, well, it's not that much of a difference, but the difference is probably something like just like 10 extra pounds on the thighs and ass, and because of that, she's you have thousands of posts dedicated to her body, but like Yena didn't get that until that performance at Waterbomb. Okay, so Kaya. I'm just trying to show you Kaya known for her body, and then you have who else we got here? I'm trying to find. You have Yell from High Key. Yell from High Key is she's been going viral for years. Um, since debut basically, but the only thing people talk about is her body. So, do you think Yena would look good in this outfit? No, she wouldn't. I have another one of Yell. I mean, she has dozens of viral videos. Okay, see like this. Like this, like people love this. You've never seen a video of Vienna, that has this many views because she doesn't have, well, obviously a body. Hence she has, see, it's almost like really really fat chicks and really really skinny chicks have to dress the same. So like, okay, so like if you're really really skinny, you want to show the illusion of having a body, so that means you're going to wear really, really loose clothing that drapes on you, or really, really tight clothing. Okay, I'm just that's what you do, and then the same with fat chicks. You're gonna wear really, really loose clothing or really, really tight clothing, because the really, really tight clothing might help shape you better instead instead of being round. You know what I mean? So it's like fat chicks and really, really skinny chicks. It's like it's like the horseshoe theory. You know, who else has? Oh yeah, Licio. I've I mean, I don't use Reddit anymore, but I've seen Reddit groups dedicated to Licio being hot, Licio's body. I want to bang Licio. Like, she's another girl who is considered sexy, hot, whatever. And it's not that her body is that much more voluptuous than Yena, but it is though. She has a chest, she has thighs. She's has a nice shape. And just with her, like B cups, it's still better. They're like big B cups or small C cups. It's hard to tell because they wear different outfits, and their weight goes up and down, right? But anyway, there you know there's a bunch of YouTube channels, YouTube videos dedicated to how hot Licio is. Same with like online groups, in like Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts. But you don't see that with Yena. So far, everyone I've shown you has that though. Yena doesn't, because Yena's not known for being sexy until that water bomb, which is why that was one of the smartest things she ever did. And it's just a very slight difference. And even with Ive, um, you know, like they're all good looking, but they're not like stick like rail, like I can hide behind a pencil. Like like some of them, not all, but they usually have an ass, because just like with every K-pop group, some of them go through an anorexic phase. But anyway, you get the point. There's like, how many of these videos of Licio do we have? Like, there's like a lot. See, but like she's still really skinny, but she still has a shape. Like she has a nice ass, she has a nice rack. It's a good looking chick. Yeah, and there's videos like this dedicated to Lisa, but there's videos like this dedicated to all the girls I've shown except for Yena. Okay, see, like Yena wants to get here, where she's popular or has a fan base because people want to have sex with her. See, like that's what makes some of these idols like top tier. They have good music, okay, or their group has good music. They have a good visual. I'm talking about like the face and stuff. They have like they're good on like live streams or variety shows, but you don't get next level famous until you get people making videos like this because they want to have sex with you. So like you want to get sexy, and so Yena doesn't have that yet, even though she's been around. So like what she did with that water bomb was good, because people are now talking about her being viral for her looks. And every idol I've already shown you has been viral for their looks dozens of times, and all of them have one thing in common: they're super popular. They have a fan base. Now they're super popular, meaning with people online, like straight men that will at least watch their videos and stuff, and buy merch because they're hot. And engagement online is money, so it helps. But Yena has taken the first step though, so hopefully Yena will have super fans making videos like this about her. But like Licio, it has a great body. Yena can get this body if she gains 20 pounds, and I hope she takes a step back and like rewatches her Water Bomb and goes and then compares herself to the backup dancers and goes, the difference between me and the backup dancers is just 20 pounds. And she probably weighs like 90 pounds, maybe. So like if she weighed like 110, it's gonna mostly go to her ass and her her tits, and then she'll get like a new group of fans because remember like a lot of us only like these K-pop idols because they're hot. I'm one of those people, but I'm the average guy. Okay, there's a million K-pop groups out there, so there's groups that I like just because of the music, like Wiki Miki. I think I love pretty much everything they put out. Like Red Velvet has a great music, so I'm not gonna be one of those people who are like I don't own any music by Ive. I don't own any music by Ive, and the reason why is because well I listen to it just like on you know, YouTube or whatever. But I don't need to like buy it because there's groups that I like just because I like their music. It is what it is. Anyway. Um I guess I've said enough. It's been really hot the past week. So I've just been oh my god, it's been really hard to sit down comfortably and make a video because it's just been and here's the thing like there's people who are living in much hotter places than where I live, so like this is me and my first world problems for sure, but I'm just saying this is probably the first time in a week where I felt comfortable actually sitting down and and being able to talk on a microphone, which is crazy, but anyway. Yeah, and like Chewie is another one from Twice. I remember when Chewie was first when I first saw Chewie on TV, like back in 2015. My first thought was, "Oh, this chick is hot. I like. I'm gonna like whatever this chick puts up because that's how hot she is." And like that's why I like Twice is because I want to have sex with Chewie. But like that's what each K-pop group needs. Like you need a visual or a girl in the group that's so hot that you don't care about the music, you don't care about the product. You're just like, yeah, I like the group, and like I don't even really like Twice, and I have a bunch of their albums because of Chewie, because she's just so hot that like when I hear their songs, I think of sex because of her. So like that's what you need. And then I woke up and I'm like, why am I wasting money on albums that only have two good songs? That's one thing about Twice. They'll put out a full length album, right? And there'll only be like two good songs on there, and the rest of the songs sound like songs that were rejected by four other groups. You know, that's why I stopped buying their albums though. I think I have I don't know like four of their albums, and like one of them is horrible. One of them had no good songs. The More album was horrible. None of the songs were good. Okay, none of the songs are good. I can't. I I wanted my money back, but like you know, that was me during my peak Chewy hype. But it is what it is. Anyway, I've talked too much. Anyway, you guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Peace.